You know that moment when you walk into a room and instantly feel the tension. Maybe it's your coworker slamming a drawer shut after a passive-aggressive email, or your aunt making yet another snide comment at the family gathering. Drama has this way of creeping into our lives, draining our energy, and leaving us wondering, why do we keep getting pulled into these exhausting cycles? Here's the thing, chaos isn't the problem, our reaction to it is. That's where Stoicism comes in. This ancient philosophy, practiced by everyone from Roman emperors to modern CEOs, teaches us something radical. Indifference isn't about not caring, it's about reclaiming your power. Instead of letting external noise dictate your emotions, you learn to stand firm like a tree in a storm, roots deep and unshaken. Today, we're diving into 25 Stoic reasons to rise above the drama, whether it's office gossip, social media outrage, or that friend who thrives on conflict. Imagine a life where other people's chaos doesn't derail your peace, where you're no longer a puppet to someone else's tantrums or moods. That's what Stoicism offers, a mindset shift that turns drama from a wildfire into background noise. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore how to detach from what doesn't serve you, focus on what you can control, and find a quiet confidence that no amount of external chaos can shake. This isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending things don't bother you. It's about choosing where to invest your energy and realizing most drama isn't worth the cost. Ready to transform how you engage with the world? Let's begin. The first and most powerful Stoic tool for cutting through drama is this brutal truth: you'll never control other people's actions, only your response to them. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Think about the last time someone dragged you into their chaos, maybe a coworker spreading rumors or a relative picking a fight over Thanksgiving dinner. The moment you stop obsessing over what they should do and start focusing on what you can do, walk away, set a boundary, or simply refuse to react, their drama loses its grip on you. Stoicism divides life into two categories: what's up to us and what isn't. Your opinions, your values, how you spend your energy, those are yours to command. But other people's words, their moods, even their insults, those belong firmly in the not your business column. Imagine social media outrage as a shouting match in a crowded stadium. You didn't start the fight and you can't silence the crowd, but you can choose not to lend them your voice. Here's the twist: indifference doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means directing your attention like a spotlight. When gossip starts, ask yourself, can I control this person's words? No. Can I control whether I engage? Absolutely. That shift from trying to change others to mastering your own reactions is how you turn drama into static noise. Picture a kite caught in the wind. The wind is chaos, unpredictable and wild, but the string, that's your discipline. Hold it firmly and no storm can sweep you away. Now let's make this Stoic wisdom practical. If you truly want to detach from drama, you need to train your mind to spot the difference between what you can and can't control, and journaling is one of the most powerful tools to do this. Here's a simple exercise. Next time you're caught in someone else's chaos, grab a notebook and divide the page into two columns. On the left, write their drama and every action, word, or emotion the other person is responsible for. On the right, write my response, your boundaries, your calm, your decision to engage or walk away. Seeing it on paper strips the situation of its emotional charge and reveals the truth. Their behavior is their column. Yours is the only one you need to fill. For a deeper challenge, try the 24-hour drama detox. The rule is simple: when chaos erupts around you, whether it's a snippy text, a workplace meltdown, or a friend venting for the third time this week, you don't react. Not passively, not aggressively, not even internally. You observe it like weather passing through. Notice how often your instinct is to fix, correct, or absorb the tension. Then notice how freeing it feels when you don't. Marcus Aurelius kept a journal not to dwell on problems but to dissolve them. He wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." So ask yourself tonight, did I spend more energy today on what others did or on who I chose to be? That's the Stoic litmus test. Every dramatic situation is really just an invitation to hand over your peace or to keep it intact. The choice is always yours. Here's something the Stoics understood that most of us resist. Every obstacle is secretly fuel. Amor Fati, Latin for love of fate, is the radical practice of embracing everything life throws at you, even the drama, the betrayals, the petty office politics. Nietzsche, who borrowed this Stoic idea, put it best: do not just bear what is necessary, love it. Picture this: a co-worker takes credit for your idea in a meeting. Your pulse jumps, your face burns, classic drama triggers, but Amor Fati whispers a different question. How is this exact moment preparing me for something greater? Epictetus, born a slave and later exiled, didn't just endure hardship, he treated it as his teacher. When Emperor Domitian banished him from Rome, he didn't waste energy cursing his luck. Instead, he opened a philosophy school in Greece, saying, "Exile shows me what I'm made of." That's Amor Fati in action, your rival's sabotage, a chance to sharpen your resilience. Your friend's betrayal, a lesson in discernment. Even the neighbor's constant complaints become training for patience. The magic happens when you shift from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What is this revealing about me?" Drama thrives when we resist it, when we argue with reality, wishing people were different, but Amor Fati flips the script. Imagine your life as a blacksmith's forge. Every unfair critique, every toxic encounter is the hammer striking hot metal. Painful, yes, but necessary to shape you into something unbreakable. Try this reframe next time drama finds you. This isn't happening to me, it's happening for me. The gossipy colleague, they're teaching you the cost of caring about whispers. The family member who picks fights, they're showing you where your boundaries need reinforcing. Even social media outrage becomes useful. It exposes where you're still handing over your peace to strangers. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle in the path becomes the path." That's the heart of Amor Fati. The very things we label as drama are the exact experiences we need to grow. So when chaos knocks, greet it like an old teacher. Thank it for the lesson, then let it walk away, while you stand taller, wiser, and utterly indifferent to its next performance. Let's talk about the hidden superpower of reframing, the Stoic art of turning drama into training. Picture this: someone cuts you off in traffic, your roommate leaves yet another passive-aggressive note, or your group chat erupts in unnecessary conflict. Instead of reacting, what if you saw these moments as cosmic pop quizzes? The Stoics called this prosouch attention with intention. It's the practice of whispering to yourself, "This isn't an annoyance, it's a drill." Start with this script: that person yelling, they're testing my calm. This delayed flight, a chance to practice surrender. My friend's melodrama, an invitation to set boundaries with grace. Every irritant becomes a rep in the gym of your character. Seneca wrote letters to his friend Lucilius filled with this mindset. When faced with a noisy neighbor or a dishonest colleague, he'd say, "Nature mixes the bitter with the sweet, not to ruin the meal but to train our palate." Here's a visualization exercise the Stoics would have loved. Close your eyes and imagine the universe as a vast classroom. Every conflict, every petty slight is a lesson written just for you. That coworker who loves stirring the pot, they're not a villain. They're a sparring partner hired by life to toughen your emotional armor. See their words not as arrows aimed at you, but as weights strapped to your resilience. The heavier they feel, the stronger you'll become. Epictetus took it further. He told his students to wake up each morning and declare, "Today I will meet the ungrateful, the arrogant, the deceitful. But none of them can touch my virtue unless I permit it." That's reframing at its boldest. Try scripting your own version. When drama knocks, say aloud, "Ah, here's my next test. Let's see how steady I can stay." The magic lies in the pause. Between someone's action and your reaction lies a sliver of space, and in that space you choose the story. Is this a catastrophe or a curriculum, a setback or a setup for your growth? Marcus Aurelius kept a mantra in his pocket: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. So the next time chaos erupts, take 3 breaths and ask, what muscle is this moment asking me to flex? Your answer will dictate whether drama drains you or fortifies you. Think about the last time you got caught in an argument that felt life or death in the moment, maybe a heated text thread, a snub at a party, or a co-worker's backhanded compliment. Now imagine zooming out, way out to your very last day. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, wrote letters about this exercise lying on your deathbed, replaying your life, sifting through memories like sand. How much of that drama would even register? That's the power of Memento Mori, remembering you'll die. It's not morbid, it's liberating. When you hold life's brevity in one hand and petty squabbles in the other, the contrast is almost laughable. Consider Seneca's words to his friend Lucilius: "You act like mortals in all you fear, and like immortals in all you desire." We waste hours obsessing over slights that won't matter next week, let alone at life's finish line. The neighbor's rude comment, the friend who forgot your birthday, the online troll, none of these make the cut when time runs thin. Marcus Aurelius kept a skull on his desk, not to dwell on death, but to distill life. Every irritation, every conflict, every moment of drama gets filtered through one question: does this deserve a place in my limited days? Here's the twist: Memento Mori doesn't erase emotion. It clarifies priorities. Picture yourself decades from now, frail and grateful, whispering advice back to your current self. Would that future version urge you to engage in the office gossip, or to savor the sunlight through your window instead? The petty clashes that feel urgent now shrink to background noise when viewed through the lens of a finite life. Try this tonight. Write 2 lists. On one, jot down every dramatic moment that rattled you this week: the passive-aggressive email, the social media feud, the family tension. On the other, list what truly fills your soul: laughing with a loved one, creating something meaningful, feeling the wind on your face. Hold both up to the light. Which list deserves your limited heartbeats? Drama thrives when we forget we're temporary. But death isn't a threat, it's the ultimate editor. It strips away the noise and leaves only what's sacred. So next time chaos knocks, meet it with 2 quiet words: Memento Mori. Then ask, is this how I want to spend my one wild, precious life? The answer will either pull you deeper into the fray, or free you to walk away, light as a ghost already at peace. At the heart of Stoicism lies a game-changing idea. Virtue is the only true good. Not wealth, not reputation, not even comfort. Just 4 unwavering qualities: wisdom to see clearly, courage to act rightly, justice to treat others fairly, and temperance to keep desires in check. Now stack that against the drama we face daily. Gossip, that's justice abandoned, fueling office politics, temperance thrown out the window, reacting to every provocation. Courage misplaced. The Stoics didn't just suggest virtues, they treated them like a litmus test for every interaction. Musonius Rufus, the philosopher who taught Epictetus, faced relentless slander with a shocking response: if anyone tells you that so and so speaks ill of you, don't bother defending yourself. Just reply, he must not know my other faults, or he wouldn't have mentioned only these. That's virtue in action, seeing insults as irrelevant noise because they can't erode what actually matters: your character. Picture 2 paths, one where you're tugged into every conflict, demanding apologies, keeping score. The other where you ask, does engaging here make me wiser, kinder, stronger? Most drama collapses under that question. Take workplace gossip. Whispering about a colleague might feel like bonding, but Stoicism calls it theft, stealing their dignity and your own peace. Justice demands you either address issues directly or stay silent. Temperance reminds you not every opinion needs voicing, even courage gets redefined. We think it's about clapping back or standing your ground in arguments, but real Stoic courage, it's walking away from the fight that won't serve anyone. Imagine a friend vents about mutual acquaintances weekly. Joining in feels loyal, but wisdom whispers, is this conversation improving either of us? Virtue isn't about being liked, it's about being aligned. Here's the secret the Stoics knew: drama can't survive in the presence of unwavering virtue. Like sunlight disinfecting a room, virtues expose pettiness for what it is, a distraction from what truly builds a meaningful life. Next time chaos knocks, don't ask, "How do I win?" Ask, "How do I leave this interaction more virtuous than I entered?" That shift doesn't just neutralize drama, it transforms you. Marcus Aurelius had a secret weapon against drama, one he practiced daily. He called it the view from above, and it works like mental time travel. Picture this: you're in a heated argument, blood pounding, words flying, then suddenly, you're floating miles above earth, watching the scene shrink to a speck. From that height, your feud looks like ants squabbling over crumbs. That's the Stoic superpower, zooming out until pettiness evaporates. Take modern social media. Imagine pulling back from a Twitter feud like you're scrolling through a galactic map. Those all-caps insults, they're pixels on a screen, drowned in the noise of 8 billion other lives. The coworker who smugly stole your idea. From space, your office building is a gray dot beside rivers, mountains, centuries of human struggle and triumph. Marcus wrote in his Meditations, "Think of the whole universe where you fill but a tiny corner, and of the whole span of time where you're allotted but the briefest moment." This isn't about dismissing your feelings, it's about gaining perspective. That family drama consuming your weekend, stand on the moon for a second. Watch how small it looks against the backdrop of generations before and after you. The Stoics weren't urging detachment from life, they were teaching us to see clearly, like resetting a corrupted camera lens until the blur sharpens into what really matters. Try this tonight. Google Earth from space and stare at that blue marble. Notice how borders, stadiums where we cheer rival teams, even war zones, all vanish into stillness. Then apply that lens to your current frustration. That text thread blowing up your phone, it's a flicker in the dark, the neighbor's snide remark, a raindrop in the ocean. Drama thrives when we're nose to nose with it, but step back, way back, and the weight lifts. Marcus knew something we often forget: scale changes everything. A stain on your shirt feels catastrophic until you remember it's invisible from across the street. The same applies to emotions. What feels like a tsunami in your chest is just a ripple in the grand scheme. Next time chaos hooks you, borrow his practice. Close your eyes, rocket upward until your problems shrink to their true size. The storm isn't gone, you've just found the eye. And from there, peace isn't a reaction, it's the default. There's a Stoic exercise so counterintuitive it feels like reverse psychology, the premeditatio malorum, or premeditation of evils. Instead of avoiding potential drama, you mentally rehearse it, not to dwell in pessimism but to drain it of its power. Imagine this: you're driving to a family gathering where Uncle Frank always corners you about your career choices. Normally, you'd white-knuckle the steering wheel, hoping he's in a rare good mood. But what if you flipped the script before walking in? You'd visualize him sighing, still doing that art thing. Then you'd rehearse your calm reply, "Yes, and it fulfills me." By the time it happens, if it happens, you're not blindsided. You're prepared, almost amused, like an actor who knows their lines by heart. Seneca practiced this daily. He'd mentally walk through losing his wealth, his status, even his loved ones, not to invite suffering, but to sterilize fear. He wrote, "He who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." Think of it as emotional vaccination. A tiny dose of imagined chaos builds immunity to the real thing. Your coworker's passive-aggressive email, you've already visualized it yesterday, deciding to respond with detached professionalism, the friend who cancels last minute. You preempted their flakiness and penciled in backup plans. Here's how to apply it to real-life drama traps. First, identify predictable triggers. The family critic, the traffic rage, the social media pile-on. Then write the script, not the fairy tale version where everyone behaves perfectly, but the raw, messy one where they don't. If my sister brings up politics, I'll say, let's talk about something we both enjoy. If she pushes, I'll change rooms. The goal isn't to control others, it's to fortify your own response. Like a fire drill, the rehearsal makes the real event less chaotic. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, pictured his ship sinking every time he set sail. Morbid, not to him. By confronting the worst-case scenario, he freed himself to enjoy the voyage. Modern drama thrives on the element of surprise, the gasp when someone betrays you, the sting of an unexpected insult. Premeditatio malorum removes that advantage. When you've already walked through the storm in your mind, the actual rain feels lighter. Try it tonight. Pick one recurring drama, visualize it in vivid detail, then script your stoic response. Watch how anticipation becomes mastery, and mastery becomes indifference. Epictetus dropped a truth bomb 2,000 years ago that still shatters illusions today. If someone spoke badly of you, that's their problem. Let that sink in. The opinions others hold about you, whether they think you're too quiet, too ambitious, or just plain odd, aren't facts. They're reflections of their biases, insecurities, and limited perspectives. Social psychologists call this the spotlight effect, the crippling belief that everyone notices and judges your every move. But research reveals the opposite. People are too preoccupied with their own imagined spotlights to focus on yours. In one study, participants who wore embarrassing T-shirts to social events vastly overestimated how many people noticed. The reality, barely anyone did. Think about your last cringe moment, the clumsy stumble, the awkward pause in conversation. How long did you replay it? Days, weeks? Here's the freeing part. The people who witnessed it likely forgot before you reached the door. Yet we torture ourselves, clinging to others' passing thoughts like their verdicts on our worth. The Stoics saw this clearly. Your reputation isn't yours to control. It's borrowed space in someone else's mind, subject to their moods, biases, and distractions. Trying to micromanage it is like chasing smoke. Marcus Aurelius had a brutal but liberating practice. Whenever someone criticized him, he'd ask, what's their expertise in virtue? If they weren't living wisely or justly themselves, their opinion carried no more weight than a toddler's food preferences. Apply that filter next time gossip reaches you. That coworker mocking your presentation skills, are they paragons of public speaking? The relative scoffing at your life choices, have they unlocked the secret to flawless living? Drama loves an audience. It feeds on our fear of being judged. But here's the pivot. When you stop treating opinions as facts, you reclaim your peace. Picture opinions as weather. Some days rain, others sunshine, all passing. You wouldn't stake your self-worth on a thunderstorm. Why do it with someone's offhand comment? Try this tonight. Recall one criticism that still needles you. Now imagine the critic saying those words while wearing clown makeup. Sounds ridiculous. That's the point. Their words only hold the power you assign them. Epictetus, born into slavery, knew true freedom wasn't physical, it was mental, he taught. It's not what happens to you, but how you interpret it. Your ex's snark, your boss's frown, even the internet trolls' vitriol, they're all just data points. You choose the algorithm that processes them. The next time drama whispers, what will they think? Answer with Seneca's razor-sharp reminder, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The opinions you fear are already fading unless you hit pause and replay them yourself. Let the tape run out. The silence you'll find, that's indifference, and it sounds like peace. Imagine this, You just spent 45 minutes dissecting your coworker's cryptic text with a friend, another hour scrolling through a heated comment thread, and half your morning replaying that awkward interaction in your head. Now add it all up. How many days, weeks, months of your life have vanished into analyzing gossip, rehearsing comebacks, or nursing grudges? Seneca's blistering essay on the shortness of life lays it bare. It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Drama isn't just exhausting, it's the ultimate time thief, siphoning precious hours you could have spent building the life you actually want. Let's run a quick audit. Grab your phone and check screen time. How many minutes disappeared into social media arguments last week? Recall conversations. How many circled back to complaining about the same people? Even mental real estate counts. Those sleepless nights replaying someone's tone. That's currency paid in attention, the one resource you can't earn back. The Stoics measured life in moments, not years, and while you're tallying up who wronged you, the clock's still ticking. Here's the brutal math. Say you spend just 30 minutes daily on drama, venting, ruminating, or engaging in pointless conflict. That's 3.5 hours a week, 15 a month, 182 a year, enough to learn a language, write a book, or train for a marathon. Seneca called it allowing others to steal your existence. Every hour spent obsessing over pettiness is an hour robbed from your potential, but there's a flip side. What if you redirected even half that energy? Swap the group chat gossip for journaling. Trade scrolling through feud updates for reading Marcus Aurelius. Replace rehearsing arguments with practicing gratitude. The Stoics weren't against emotion, they were for intentionality. They understood that time invested in self-improvement compounds while drama only depletes. Try this experiment for 1 week. Log every drama-related minute like a financial budget. Mark them in red. Then, in blue, note moments spent on growth, learning, creating, connecting meaningfully. The contrast will sting because time isn't just passing, you're spending it. And as Seneca warned, no one will bring back the years. The real cost of drama isn't stress, it's the person you could have become with that same energy. So next time chaos beckons, ask, is this worth a fraction of my one wild, precious life? If the answer isn't hell yes, walk away. The clock's ticking, but the choice is still yours. Marcus Aurelius began each morning with a mental preparation that would shock most of us today. He'd whisper to himself, "Today I shall meet ungrateful, violent, treacherous people. But none of this can injure me, for I cannot be angry with my fellow creatures without abandoning nature itself." That's the heart of Stoic empathy, not excusing bad behavior, but understanding its roots. Ancient Stoics called it sympatheia, the recognition that every person acts according to their own flawed logic. The coworker who stirs office drama isn't some cartoon villain. They're likely operating from insecurity, past hurts, or blind spots they don't even see. This shifts everything. When your aunt makes that yearly snide comment about your life choices, instead of reacting with heat, you respond with cool curiosity. What pain must she carry to say that? Not to condone the behavior, but to defang it. The Stoics visualized humanity as a single organism. When one part malfunctions, it's not evil, just injured. Imagine your finger suddenly jabbing your eye. You wouldn't hate the finger, you'd ask what nerve signal misfired. Apply that to people, the friend who ghosts you, the neighbor who complains endlessly, their fingers twitching from invisible wounds. Here's where most philosophies stop at understand them. Stoicism takes it further and protect yourself. Sympatheia isn't about tolerating toxicity, it's about discerning its origin so you can choose your response wisely. Epictetus laid it bare. When someone washes their hands, you don't say they're wasting water, you say they're being hygienic. Apply the same logic when people waste your time. Recognize the purpose behind their actions. That gossipy colleague isn't trying to be malicious, they're craving connection, however clumsily. Knowing this doesn't mean you endure their words, but that you set boundaries without burning bridges. Try this reframe next time drama erupts. First, diagnose the why behind the behavior. The relative who picks political fights, they fear irrelevance. The partner who nitpicks, they're projecting their own perfectionism. Then, and this is crucial, ask, given this understanding, what's the wisest way to engage? Sometimes it's gentle redirection, other times it's removing yourself entirely, but never is it taking their actions personally. Marcus wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." When you meet pettiness with patience, cruelty with calm, you're not just rising above drama, you're embodying the Stoic ideal. The ungrateful, the rude, the exhausting, they're not obstacles to your peace. They're the whetstones sharpening your empathy, your discernment, your unshakable indifference to anything that doesn't serve your growth. The next morning, try his ritual. Name the difficult personalities you'll likely encounter, then whisper, "They act this way because they know no other path." That space between their behavior and your reaction. That's where Stoic freedom lies. There's a weapon more disarming than any comeback silence. Seneca called it the tranquility of mind, a practice so potent it could unravel even the most determined provocateur. Picture Cotto the Younger, Rome's Stoic senator, standing trial as his enemies hurled insults. Where others might have shouted defenses or traded barbs, he simply read a book unfazed. His calm wasn't weakness, it was a calculated strike. By refusing to engage, he revealed their words as powerless. The crowd, expecting a spectacle, instead witnessed something far more shocking. A man so unshaken by pettiness that it evaporated on contact. Silence works like a vacuum. When you deny drama the oxygen of your reaction, it suffocates. Think of that coworker who baits you with passive-aggressive comments, or the relative who thrives on heated debates. They're not seeking truth, they're craving collision. Seneca observed, "The noise of the vulgarest sort is powerless to disturb a mind at peace with itself." Try it next time someone pushes your buttons. Instead of rising to the bait, let their words hang in the air unanswered. Watch how quickly their bravado deflates when met with quiet steadiness. History's greatest Stoics treated silence like a martial art. When Zeno faced a heckler during a lecture, he didn't argue. He paused mid-sentence until the man exhausted himself. The audience, initially distracted, soon turned their irritation toward the disruptor. That's the alchemy of silence. It redirects the weight of awkwardness back to its source. Modern research backs this. Studies on negotiation tactics show that strategic pauses make people uncomfortable enough to fill the void, often conceding ground or revealing their true intentions. But here's where most misinterpret Stoic silence. It's not passive aggression or bottled-up resentment. It's the conscious choice to withhold energy from what doesn't deserve it. Imagine your attention as currency. Every time you engage with drama, you've paid into someone else's emotional Ponzi scheme. Silence, on the other hand, declares bankruptcy. Your peace becomes non-negotiable. Apply this to digital age provocations. That inflammatory tweet, the group chat gossip, they're designed for engagement. Like fire, they need fuel to spread. Deny them, and they're reduced to ashes on a screen. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best answer to anger is silence." Not the silence of suppression, but the silence of sovereignty, the kind that says, "I decide what merits my attention." Try Seneca's experiment this week. For every petty provocation, count to 10 in stillness. Notice how often the moment passes before you reach 3. What feels like restraint in the moment often reveals itself later as the ultimate power move. Because silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's the presence of unshakable self-possession. Epictetus dropped a truth bomb 2 millennia ago that still shatters our knee-jerk reactions today. It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about them. Let's unpack that with a modern scenario. You open your inbox to find an email from your boss, all caps, no niceties, demanding revisions by end of day. Your stomach knots, pulse quickens, but pause here. The email isn't the problem, it's just pixels on a screen. The distress comes from your interpretation. they're angry at me, I messed up, this is unfair. Now imagine opening that same email through Stoic lenses. Maybe they're swamped and typing fast, perhaps they're fighting a migraine, or here's the radical option, maybe their tone has nothing to do with you. This isn't positive thinking, it's perceptual flexibility, the ability to hold multiple interpretations lightly, like adjusting a camera's focus until the blur becomes clear. That neighbor who never waves back, you could spin stories about their disdain or consider they have social anxiety. The friend who cancelled plans last minute. They're flaky, or perhaps they're battling depression they haven't shared. Epictetus wasn't suggesting we ignore reality, but that we question the automatic scripts we attach to events. Try this reframe next time drama knocks. First, name the facts. My partner snapped at me. Then, list possible interpretations. 1. They're upset with me. Most painful, least likely. 2. They're stressed about work. Neutral explanation. 3. They didn't sleep well. Compassionate perspective. 4. I misheard their tone. Benefit of doubt. Suddenly, that single event has multiple storylines, and you get to choose which one serves your peace. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily, writing, "Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been." That's not denial, it's recognizing that between stimulus and response lies a space where your freedom lives. Modern neuroscience backs this. When researchers showed subjects photos of scowling faces while monitoring brain activity, those who interpreted the expressions as probably just tired showed significantly lower stress responses than those who assumed hostility. Your brain doesn't react to reality, it reacts to your version of reality. Drama thrives when we lock into one rigid interpretation. But when you treat perceptions like hypotheses rather than truths, you reclaim authority over your emotional world. Here's the litmus test. Ask yourself, what evidence do I actually have for this story I'm telling? That curt text, maybe it's not passive aggression, maybe they were rushing between meetings. The sideways glance at the party, possibly not judgment, but a contact lens irritating their eye. The Stoics called this prosoch, attention to your own judgments. It's not about excusing bad behavior, but about refusing to let assumptions steal your peace. Next time you're triggered, borrow Epictetus' mental move. Separate the event from the narrative, then experiment with interpretations like trying on glasses, not to find the right one, but to prove none have permanent power over you. Because here's the secret, most drama isn't happening in the world, it's happening in the stories we tell about the world. Change the story and watch the drama dissolve. The human brain comes with a glitch, an ancient survival mechanism called the amygdala hijack. When someone pushes your buttons, this almond-shaped cluster of neurons floods your system with stress hormones, effectively shutting down rational thought. For the next 12 to 18 seconds, you're biologically incapable of responding calmly. That's why you fire off that regrettable text or snap at your partner mid-argument. But here's where Stoicism offers a workaround, a simple but profound technique known as the pause. Epictetus described it as the space between stimulus and response where your power lies. Picture this, your colleague takes credit for your work in a team meeting. Your face flushes, your fists clench, classic hijack in progress. Instead of reacting, you deploy the Stoic pause. 1 silent count. 2. By 6, your prefrontal cortex, the brain's logical control center, comes back online. At 10, you're no longer a hostage to biology. Now you can choose a measured response, a strategic silence, or even graceful deflection. Ancient Stoics didn't know about amygdalas, but they understood this. Emotions are weather, and you're the sky. Storms pass if you don't chase them. Modern psychology confirms this. A Harvard study placed participants in heated debates while monitoring brain activity. Those trained to pause before responding showed 40% less amygdala activation than reactive participants. Their secret, they'd rewired their brains to treat the pause as a reflex. Like a firefighter drilling emergency protocols until calm becomes automatic under pressure, Marcus Aurelius had a visceral version of this practice. When insulted, he'd imagine the words as objects, a rock thrown at his feet. He could leave it there or pick it up and throw it back. The pause gave him that choice. Try this adaptation next time drama strikes. Visualize the provocation as a physical item, a crumpled paper, a deflating balloon. The act of mental objectification creates just enough distance to break the hijack cycle. Here's how to train your pause reflex. Start small. When your phone pings with an irritating message, wait 10 full seconds before replying. Notice how often the urgency fades. Then escalate during a tense conversation. Excuse yourself to grab water, buying 90 seconds to reset. Eventually, you'll internalize what Seneca knew. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Not passive avoidance, but strategic non-engagement until you can respond from your highest self. Drama thrives on instant reactions, but in that sliver of silence between provocation and response. That's where indifference is forged. Seneca warned his friend Lucilius about a phenomenon we now call emotional contagion, the invisible transfer of moods, attitudes, and drama between people. Picture this: you spend an afternoon with a colleague who rants about office politics, and by dinner you're replaying their grievances in your head. That's not coincidence, it's neural mirroring. Our brains are wired to sync with the emotional frequencies of those around us, like tuning forks vibrating at the same pitch. Stoicism doesn't just suggest choosing your circle wisely, it treats it as urgent mental hygiene. Start by auditing your relationships through a Stoic lens. Red flags aren't always loud, sometimes they're subtle. The friend who frames every conversation as a crisis, the sibling who turns minor inconveniences into epic betrayals, even the group chat where complaints flow like currency. These aren't just annoyances, they're slow leaks in your emotional reserves. Seneca described such people as emotional arsonists. They don't just burn themselves, they ignite everyone nearby. Boundary setting is where most stumble. We confuse Stoic compassion with being an endless well for others' chaos. But here's the pivot: you can love someone while refusing to host their drama. Try the traffic light method. Green light friends uplift through shared growth. Think conversations about ideas, not gossip. Yellow light relationships get limited access. Maybe you meet for coffee but skip venting sessions. Red light ties, they're the chronic blame shifters and energy vampires. With them, employ Seneca's door halfway open, approach kind but firm distance. Epictetus took it further. He advised students to ask before any interaction, what qualities will I absorb here? Like checking nutritional labels on food, but for your psyche. That coworker who thrives on conspiracy theories, they're serving mental junk food. The aunt who weaponizes guilt, emotional processed sugar. You wouldn't poison your body daily. Why your mind? Practical steps matter. For green light friends, create rituals that reinforce growth: book clubs, Stoic journaling sessions. With yellow light ties, preset time limits. I've got 30 minutes to chat. What's most important? For red light relationships, master the art of the graceful exit. When drama starts, say, I've realized I'm not the right person for this conversation, and change the subject. If pressed, channel Marcus Aurelius. It's my business what enters my mind, not theirs. The ultimate test. Notice how you feel after parting ways with someone. Drained, agitated, that's emotional residue. Conversely, time with truly aligned people should leave you energized, as if they've handed you a torch rather than asking you to carry their baggage. Seneca put it bluntly, show me who you spend time with and I'll show you who you'll become. Every interaction is either depositing wisdom into your mental bank or withdrawing peace. Choose your currency wisely. Ever notice how some people seem addicted to stirring the pot? The coworker who turns every meeting into a showdown, the friend who broadcasts their relationship drama online. the celebrity manufacturing feuds for headlines, they all share one thing: an insatiable hunger for attention. The Stoics saw this pattern 2,000 years ago and called it by its true name, ego fuel. Marcus Aurelius warned in his private journal, "The applause of the many is as worthless as the clatter of hooves." That's the core insight. Drama isn't just chaos, it's vanity in motion. Think about the last public meltdown you witnessed, maybe a viral Twitter feud or a reality TV blow-up. Strip away the specifics and you'll find the same desperate plea. "Look at me." Ancient Stoics would have recognized it instantly. They observed how people would stage elaborate public protests, fabricate scandals, or even self-harm, all to provoke reactions from others. Seneca noted, "Men suffer just to be seen suffering." Fast forward to today's social media outrage cycles and little has changed. The platforms evolved, but the human craving for validation. That's prehistoric. Here's what makes Stoicism revolutionary: it redirects the spotlight inward. While modern culture rewards public breakdowns with likes and shares, Marcus Aurelius spent his nights writing in a journal no one was meant to read. Not to perform wisdom, but to practice it. The contrast couldn't be starker. Drama shouts, "Notice me," to the world, while Stoicism whispers, "Know thyself in solitude." Epictetus drew this line clearly. If someone told you that others were speaking ill of you, would you rush to defend yourself? Then why do you crave their praise? Modern psychology confirms this. Studies show that people who frequently engage in online arguments or gossip exhibit higher levels of narcissistic traits, not because they're bad people, but because their sense of self depends on external noise. Like trying to quench thirst with salt water, the more attention they consume, the more they crave. Stoicism offers the antidote, deriving your worth from internal metrics. Did you act with integrity? Did you grow? That's the only applause that matters. Try this ego audit next time drama tempts you. Ask, am I reacting to the situation, or am I reacting to how I want to be perceived in this situation? The co-worker who undermines you in meetings, does your anger come from genuine injustice or from wounded pride? The friend's snub that stings, is it the action itself or the fear of looking foolish in others' eyes? Drama addicts aren't just exhausting to be around, they're cautionary tales. Every public tantrum, every manufactured crisis is a mirror showing what happens when we outsource our self-worth to an audience. Marcus left himself this nightly reminder: waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one, no hashtags, no spectators, just the quiet work of becoming. That's the ultimate rebellion against ego-driven drama, building a self so solid, no amount of external chaos can shake its foundation. Seneca once compared life to a borrowed book from the universe's library. You get to hold it for a while, but eventually it's returned. Now imagine this: you're halfway through that book, utterly engrossed in a single typo on page 146. You're fuming, obsessing, maybe even dog-earing the page to complain to the librarian. Meanwhile, the clock's ticking, the due date looms, and you've missed entire chapters stewing over that one misplaced comma. That's how most of us treat life's drama, fixating on trivial marks while the story rushes by. Here's the gut punch: we all know someone who never got to finish their book. The friend who passed too young, the parent who left mid-sentence, the colleague whose story was cut short by accident or illness. Now ask yourself, what would they give to trade places with you right now? To have your problem of a rude comment or petty disagreement, perspective rushes in like cold water. That argument with your sibling over who forgot to call last week, would it matter if tomorrow you learned it was your last chance to speak? The Stoics practiced this mental zoom out daily. They called it Memento Mori, remembering death, not to dwell in gloom, but to clarify what deserves your limited pages. Picture this exercise. Tonight, write down every dramatic moment that occupied your mind today: the snarky text, the office tension, the social media spat. Then beside it, write how much space it would occupy in your final hours. Most shrink to invisible ink. Seneca took it further. He urged his students to live as if each day were a bonus round gifted time with no guarantees. You're not late for life, he wrote, you're overdrawn. Every minute spent nursing grudges or decoding passive aggression is a withdrawal from an account that can't be refilled. Modern psychology echoes this. Studies on terminally ill patients reveal their clearest regret wasn't, "I wish I'd argued more," it was, "I wish I'd let go faster." Try this tonight. Pull up a photo of someone you've lost. Hold it while replaying today's conflicts. That coworker's eye roll, the neighbor's complaint about your parking. How would your loved one urge you to spend these breaths instead? Drama thrives when we forget life's least terms, but mortality, it's the ultimate editor, slashing unnecessary subplots to focus on the heart of the story. The next time chaos beckons, borrow Seneca's lens. Pretend the universe has already recalled your book. Then flip to your current page and ask, is this where I want the bookmark to land? Imagine waking up tomorrow to silence, no buzzing alarm, no commute because the job you complained about yesterday vanished overnight. Your fingers itch to check emails that won't come. The coworkers who annoyed you, you'd give anything now for their chatter. This is premeditatio malorum turned upside down, not just preparing for loss, but using its specter to ignite gratitude for what exists today. The Stoics called it the poverty exercise, and Epictetus, born in chains, mastered it. He'd remind his students, you cry because your wine is cheap, others have no water. You sigh over threadbare robes, some shiver naked in winter. Modern psychology confirms this ancient hack. Researchers asked one group to write about their death in detail, while another described a mundane day. The mortality group showed 23% higher gratitude levels afterward. Why? Brushing against absence makes presence glow brighter. That slow Wi-Fi you cursed an hour ago. Picture hospitals where doctors can't download life-saving scans. The neighbor's dog barking. Imagine the hush of living alone after losing your spouse. This isn't pessimism, it's alchemy, transforming taken-for-granted comforts into gold. Try tonight's version of Epictetus' practice. Before sleep, mentally erase 3 staples of your life: your bed, your sight, your closest relationship. Sit with the hollow ache of their absence. Then, as you flick the light back on in your mind, notice how the ordinary radiates. The mattress that felt lumpy now cradles you. The familiar face you barely glanced at this morning becomes a miracle. Seneca did this daily, writing, "What you take for granted, another is praying for." He'd feast on stale bread to savor future banquets, endure thirst to relish clear water. But here's where modern minds resist. We mistake gratitude for passivity. Shouldn't I strive for more? Absolutely. Stoicism isn't about settling, it's about anchoring ambition in appreciation. The athlete training for the Olympics still grateful for working legs. The entrepreneur grinding for millions who pauses to love the ramen nights that got her here. Negative visualization isn't a call to lower standards. It's armor against the delusion that happiness lies only in the next achievement. Epictetus, who slept on stone floors by choice, framed it bluntly. He is rich who wants nothing, not because desire is evil, but because unexamined craving breeds misery. That friend envying your promotion while ignoring their healthy child, the relative fixated on their outdated phone while bantering with loved ones, they're starved amid plenty, not by circumstance but perception. So tonight, when first world problems itch the delayed package, the lukewarm coffee, conduct the Stoic reset, close your eyes, delete one blessing, sit in the void. Then reopen to the stark truth. Most of what we call bad days are miracles missing their labels. Ryan Holiday's The Obstacle is the way resurrected an ancient Stoic truth for the modern world. Every piece of drama, every setback, every PR nightmare is actually raw material for building unshakable resilience. Take the case of a Fortune 500 CEO, let's call him Daniel, who woke up to a viral Twitter storm accusing his company of unethical practices. The facts were murky, the outrage was loud, and his board was panicking. Most leaders would have defaulted to damage control, firing off defensive press releases, scrambling for scapegoats, or worse, feeding the frenzy with emotional interviews. But Daniel did something radical. He reached for Marcus Aurelius' Meditations and asked, what if this isn't a crisis to survive, but a drill to level up? That shift from victim to student changed everything. Instead of reacting to headlines, he dissected them with Stoic pragmatism. What can I control here? Not the tweets, not the shareholders' fear, but his own response. He broke the storm into 3 Stoic actions. Perception, reframing the scandal as stress testing his leadership. Action, transparently auditing the allegations without defensiveness. And will, accepting that some reputational scars might remain. Within weeks, his calm, solutions-oriented approach turned critics into collaborators. The media, initially baying for blood, began praising his integrity under fire. What could have destroyed his career became a masterclass in crisis management, all because he saw the obstacle as the way. The Stoics didn't just preach this, they lived it. When the Roman Emperor Hadrian faced a mutiny, he didn't crush the rebels. He marched into their camp alone, asking what grievances he'd failed to address. The rebellion dissolved into dialogue, same principle, different century. Drama isn't the enemy, it's the gym where you train for greatness. Holiday calls it turning the barbell around. The weight that could crush you becomes the tool that strengthens you. Apply this to everyday chaos. That neighbor who files petty complaints, they're teaching you patience. The colleague who undermines you, they're sharpening your emotional intelligence. Even social media trolls serve a purpose, they're mirrors showing where your validation seeking still lingers. The CEO in our story later admitted, that scandal was the best leadership course I never paid for. Here's the litmus test. Next time drama lands in your lap, ask, what muscle is this moment asking me to flex? Resistance trains strength, wind trains roots, and chaos, it trains Stoics. The obstacle isn't just in the way, it is the way. All you have to do is start walking. The ancient Stoics had a secret weapon against frustration, 2 simple Latin words they'd whisper to themselves whenever setting goals. Reservatio, meaning fate permitting. Imagine a ship captain plotting a course to distant shores while murmuring, if the winds allow. That's the reserve clause in action, ambition tempered with surrender. Now apply this to modern drama. I'll stay calm today unless my coworker ambushes me in the break room. See the difference? The first statement sets you up for failure the moment reality deviates from your script. The second, it builds flexibility into your intentions like shock absorbers for the soul. Epictetus, who trained students in Stoic resilience, framed it bluntly. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you'll go on well. That's the reserve clause's superpower. It immunizes you against the tyranny of unmet expectations. Think of the last time someone blindsided you with drama. Maybe you'd vowed, I won't let my sister's comments bother me at dinner, only to spiral when she made that dig about your career. The problem wasn't your sister, it was the invisible contract you'd written in your head. I'll stay calm as long as everyone behaves perfectly. The Stoics would have called that magical thinking. Here's how to apply this to daily friction. Before walking into predictable drama zones, family gatherings, work meetings, even social media, prefix your intentions with fate permitting. I'll keep my cool during this call, though the client may rant. I won't engage in gossip today unless someone baits me with juicy details. This isn't pessimism, it's psychological preparedness. Like a firefighter expecting flames rather than hoping they won't appear. Modern research backs this. Studies on expectation management show that people who anticipate obstacles experience 40% less stress when those obstacles arise compared to those clinging to ideal scenarios. Marcus Aurelius modeled this during his military campaigns. He'd journal battle plans followed by, unless the enemy outflanks us, or should the weather hold. By naming potential disruptions upfront, he spared himself the shock of adversity. Apply that to your emotional battles. The next time you set an intention like, I won't react to my boss's mood swings, tack on, though they may test me. Suddenly, when the inevitable happens, it's not a failure. It's just fate unfolding as warned. You're no longer a victim of circumstance, but a participant in life's unpredictable dance. The brilliance of the reserve clause lies in its duality. It doesn't weaken resolve, it strengthens realism. Like a tree that sways in storms because its roots know the wind always comes. Seneca captured this in a letter. The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. Try this tonight. Rewrite 3 personal goals with fate permitting baked in. I'll stick to my diet though the office may bring donuts. I'll avoid social media arguments unless someone misquotes my favorite philosopher. Watch how this tiny linguistic edit transforms frustration into curiosity, because now, when drama knocks, you're not surprised. You're prepared, and preparation is the birthplace of indifference. Marcus Aurelius didn't just write meditations for posterity. He scribbled those notes to himself, often in the thick of war, as an alternative to screaming into the void. That's the Stoic secret behind journaling. It's not about documenting your day, but transforming your reactions. Think of the last time you vented to a friend about a frustrating encounter. The words spilled out, emotions escalated, and by the end, you'd rewritten the event into a full-blown tragedy. Now imagine if you'd poured that same energy onto paper instead. Not as fuel for resentment, but as raw material for growth. That's the difference between venting and journaling. One amplifies chaos, the other alchemizes it. Start with this template next time drama strikes. Divide your page into 3 columns. 1. The incident, just facts. My boss criticized my report in front of the team. 2. My initial reaction, brutal honesty. I felt humiliated, angry, and defensive. 3. Stoic reframe, philosophy in action. This exposed my attachment to praise. Criticism can't degrade my true work, only my perception of it. See the shift. Venting loops you in the storm. Journaling builds a ladder out. Seneca called this philosophical autopsy, dissecting emotional wounds to find the wisdom beneath. When his friend Lucilius complained about a betrayal, Seneca didn't just offer sympathy. He assigned homework. Write me a letter analyzing what this revealed about your expectations. Modern science validates this. Studies show that expressive writing, when focused on meaning-making, not just venting, reduces rumination and lowers cortisol levels. The key, moving from "why did this happen to me" to "what does this reveal about what I value?" Your roommate's messiness isn't just irritating, it's a mirror showing your need for control. Your friend's flakiness isn't merely frustrating, it's exposing your unspoken contract about how others should behave. Try tonight's exercise. Resurrect a recent conflict. Rewrite it first as a rant dripping with blame. Then, beneath it, pen a stoic response as if Marcus Aurelius were mentoring you. Notice how the rant leaves you agitated, but the reflection, even if painful, brings quiet clarity. As Marcus wrote, the pen is the scalpel that slices through illusion. Every petty grievance, when journaled with Stoic lenses, becomes a footnote in your education rather than a headline in your suffering. Ever notice how the smallest things set people off these days? A delayed text reply sparks panic, a lukewarm coffee triggers outrage, and constructive criticism gets labeled as trauma. There's a hidden thread connecting these overreactions. We've become addicted to comfort. The Stoics saw this coming 2,000 years ago. They called it the tyranny of softness, the way relentless comfort erodes our tolerance for even minor discomfort. And here's the twist. Our shrinking capacity for physical discomfort directly correlates with our growing sensitivity to emotional drama. Think of it like immune systems. Avoid all germs and your body freaks out over a speck of dust. Avoid all hardship and your mind treats petty conflicts as existential threats. Enter voluntary discomfort, one of Stoicism's most counterintuitive yet powerful tools. The practice is simple. Regularly seek out manageable hardships to recalibrate your tolerance. Cold showers, skipped meals, hard workouts. These aren't masochism, they're resilience training. Like a mental vaccine, small doses of chosen discomfort build antibodies against life's inevitable irritations. Epictetus, who slept on a thin mat by choice, framed it bluntly: difficulty shows what men are. Not because suffering is virtuous, but because comfort is deceptive. It whispers that ease equals happiness, when in truth it often breeds fragility. Modern science backs this. Studies on stress inoculation show that controlled exposure to discomfort, like cold therapy or intermittent fasting, not only increases pain tolerance but reduces emotional reactivity. Participants who endured cold showers daily reported 37% fewer conflicts in relationships. Why? Because when you voluntarily face physical discomfort, your brain stops treating every minor annoyance as a 5-alarm fire. That coworker's passive-aggressive email, it's a drizzle compared to the icy downpour you chose at dawn. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, take one cold shower each morning. Not lukewarm, not brief, full 60 seconds underwater, cold enough to make your breath hitch. Here's what to expect. Day 1, your brain screams, "This is torture." As adrenaline floods your system, day 3, you notice the panic subsides faster. The shock still comes, but you watch it pass like a train you don't board. Day 7, the water still chills, but something shifts. You realize discomfort isn't an emergency, it's just sensation. Now apply that lesson to drama. When your neighbor complains about your parking or your group chat erupts in nonsense, you'll catch yourself thinking, this is just emotional cold water. I can stand in it without convulsing. That's the alchemy of voluntary discomfort. It rewires your relationship with hardship. Marcus Aurelius, who wore threadbare robes in winter despite owning furs, wrote, "The obstacle becomes the way." The cold shower isn't the point, it's the rehearsal for life's unavoidable chills. Try this reframe next time comfort addiction whispers, "Why suffer unnecessarily?" Flip the question, why suffer necessarily later? Every avoided discomfort today is borrowed pain with interest. The Stoics didn't seek hardship to prove toughness, they did it to inoculate against fragility. Because a life spent dodging all discomfort is a life unprepared for reality, and reality always collects its due, so step under that cold water tomorrow. Let it teach you what Epictetus knew: what trains the body toughens the mind. Drama loses its fangs when you faced sharper teeth and smiled. Imagine 2 leaders facing crisis. One spends his pre-dawn hours journaling philosophical reflections before governing an empire. The other fires off impulsive tweets at 3 a.m., fueling controversy after controversy. The difference isn't just temperament, it's role models. Marcus Aurelius didn't rule Rome by crowd-sourcing his emotions. While senators clamored for revenge against political enemies, he wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That's the essence of Reason 21. When surrounded by reactionary mobs, you don't resist by joining another mob. You anchor yourself to something higher. Modern culture thrives on collective outrage, social media pile-ons, office gossip chains, even family group chats where everyone fuels the latest drama. Neuroscience explains why. Mirror neurons make us biologically prone to sync with the emotional temperature around us. When the room vibrates with anger or anxiety, our brains instinctively tune to the same frequency. The Stoics knew this instinctively. That's why they didn't just preach principles, they curated exemplars, real people who embodied resilience. Cato refusing to grovel before Caesar. Epictetus teaching calmly after his leg was permanently crippled by a cruel master. These weren't saints, they were case studies in emotional sovereignty. Here's the litmus test. Next time drama erupts, whether it's a workplace scandal or a viral outrage cycle, ask yourself, who would Epictetus follow in this situation? Not because ancient philosophers have all the answers, but because their lives prove it's possible to stand firm when everyone else is swaying. Marcus faced actual barbarians at Rome's gates without losing his composure, while today's leaders start Twitter wars over minor criticism. The scale of their challenges hasn't evolved, the scale of their self-mastery has collapsed. Try this social media experiment. Scroll through any heated comment thread and imagine Marcus Aurelius reading it aloud in his tent on the German frontier. The triviality becomes almost comical. Now flip it. Picture him drafting a response. Would it be defensive, sarcastic, or would it reflect the man who wrote, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" That's the power of role models. They don't just inspire, they shame our pettiness into retreat. But this isn't about idolizing the past. Modern Stoics exist too. Think of Nelson Mandela studying Epictetus during 27 years of imprisonment, emerging not with vengeance but with reconciliation. Or James Stockdale, the Vietnam POW who credited Epictetus with his survival under torture, saying, "You must never confuse the faith that you will prevail with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality." These aren't historical relics, they're proof that Stoic equanimity outlasts every trend of outrage. The next time collective drama beckons, whether it's your co-workers feeding a rumor mill or your Instagram feed demanding you pick a side, pause. Visualize your chosen exemplar at your shoulder, then ask the only question that matters. How would someone I admire spend this moment? The answer might require turning away from the crowd. But history remembers those who stood apart long after the mobs fade into noise. Words aren't just sounds, they're the architecture of your emotional world. Epictetus nailed this when he said, "Don't say they ruined me. Say I let them." That tiny shift in phrasing isn't semantics, it's sovereignty. Think about the last time you vented, "They're destroying my peace." The moment those words left your mouth, you handed over your power like a medieval surrender. But rephrase it as, "I'm choosing how much weight to give this," and suddenly the battlefield changes. Drama thrives on hyperbole. We call a delayed flight a nightmare, a spilled coffee a disaster, and a snarky comment verbal abuse. Each time we inflate language, we amplify emotions. Neuroscience shows why. When you label something a catastrophe, your brain releases stress hormones as if facing actual danger. The Stoics practiced linguistic austerity. Marcus Aurelius didn't journal, "My incompetent generals are sabotaging the war effort." He wrote, "Some act according to their nature, I act according to mine." By stripping away dramatic language, he stripped away unnecessary suffering. Try this experiment for one day. Ban 3 dramatic words from your vocabulary: awful, ruined, hate. Replace them with precise descriptors. Instead of "this meeting was a waste," try "this meeting lacked focus for 30 minutes. Notice how the emotional volume drops when you remove the amplifier. Epictetus took it further with his discipline of assent, the practice of rejecting exaggerated thoughts before they take root. When a friend cancels plans, the untrained mind jumps to "they don't respect me." The Stoic pauses and corrects. They rearranged one evening. That's not minimizing reality, it's refusing to let language distort it. Watch social media for proof. Posts framed as "this is everything wrong with society" spark firestorms, while those stating "here's one perspective on a complex issue" invite dialogue. The facts may be identical, but the language determines whether it's fuel or water on the fire. Here's the ultimate test. Next time you're in conflict, write 2 versions of the story, one dripping with dramatic language, one starkly factual. Read both aloud. The first will tighten your chest, the second, it'll leave room for solutions. Words aren't just how we describe the world, they are how we build it. Choose yours like an architect, not an arsonist. Picture the last time you got heated over a rude comment. Maybe your pulse raced, your face flushed, your thoughts spiraled. Now zoom in further, deeper, past skin and bone, past cells and molecules, down to the very fabric of reality. Atoms vibrating in empty space, colliding and separating in an endless cosmic dance. That's Stoic physics in action, the radical idea that everything, from your anger to the insult that triggered it, is just particles in motion. Marcus Aurelius whispered this to himself mid-battle. Remember, matter is like sheep dung, life is like a rushing river. Not to dismiss human experience, but to expose drama for what it really is. Temporary arrangements of stardust pretending to be permanent catastrophes. Modern quantum physics echoes this ancient wisdom. At the subatomic level, particles blink in and out of existence so rapidly that solid matter is mostly empty space. Your body, 99.99% vacuum. The co-worker who sabotaged your project, a cloud of electrons orbiting nuclear just like you. When two people argue, it's not really people clashing. It's two temporary constellations of atoms exchanging energy. The Stoics didn't have electron microscopes, but they glimpsed this truth through reason. Epictetus framed it bluntly: you are a soul carrying around a corpse. That corpse, your physical form, is just borrowed stardust, reshuffling itself moment by moment until it returns to the universe. Here's the mental shift that changes everything when you see drama as atomic weather. Patterns forming and dissolving, it loses its grip. That furious DM isn't a personal attack, it's a brief surge of electrons on a screen. The gossip swirling at the office, sound waves disturbing air molecules that will settle before lunch. Even your emotional reactions are just chemistry neurotransmitters firing like tiny fireworks before fading into silence. Quantum physicist Carlo Rovelli captures this beautifully. Reality is not a collection of things, but a network of events. Your conflict isn't a thing to hold onto, it's an event already passing. Try this visualization next time drama hooks you. Imagine the scene, raised voices, scowling faces, then mentally dissolve it into vibrating atoms. Watch how the anger that felt solid becomes mist, the insult that stung, just a rearrangement of oxygen and nitrogen molecules between you. Even time bows to this truth. Quantum foam, the seething foundation of reality, shows particles constantly appearing and vanishing. Your grudges, they're clinging to illusions of permanence in an impermanent universe. Marcus Aurelius kept this perspective alive during wars and plagues. All things are fleeting, even those who complain about them. He wasn't preaching detachment from life, but engagement with its true nature. When you grasp that every conflict, every slight, is as temporary as a breeze disturbing a pond's surface, you stop building monuments to momentary ripples. The next time someone tries to drag you into chaos, let Stoic physics whisper, this too is stardust already returning to the cosmos. What felt like a hurricane is just atoms dancing, and you're the sky watching them spin. Socrates once faced an insult from a heckler who shouted, "You're nothing but a stupid old man." Instead of bristling, he chuckled and replied, "And you, sir, are absolutely right, which explains why I spend so much time asking questions." The crowd roared with laughter, the insult evaporated, and history remembered not the jab, but the philosopher's unshakable wit. That's the Stoic secret behind humor. It's not just deflection, it's alchemy, turning leaden insults into golden moments of levity. When you can laugh at yourself before others, do you strip drama of its power to wound? Cato the Younger mastered this art during Rome's most heated political battles. When an opponent sneered at his threadbare cloak, calling him a cheap hypocrite, Cato didn't rage or justify. He leaned in. "I'd rather my virtue be questioned than my wardrobe," he shot back, flashing a grin that left the insult looking petty. Notice the pattern. Both Socrates and Cato weaponized self-deprecation not out of low self-esteem, but as a calculated disarmament tactic. By owning the very traits others tried to mock, they revealed the absurdity of the attack. Modern psychology confirms this. Studies show that people who respond to criticism with humor are perceived as more confident, not less. It's the ultimate power move, agreeing with the punchline before the joke lands. Try this reframe next time someone takes a jab at you. Instead of steeling yourself against the sting, lean into it with playful exaggeration. If a coworker mutters, "Must be nice to take long lunches," respond with, "Absolutely. I'm considering a nap next. Got any pillow recommendations?" By amplifying the accusation to ridiculous proportions, you expose its pettiness without a single defensive word. The Stoics called this premeditatio derisionis, premeditating mockery, so thoroughly that when it comes, you're already laughing. But here's where most misunderstand Stoic humor. It's never cruel or sarcastic. Those are just inverted forms of ego. True philosophical wit, like Cato's or Socrates, always punches upward, even when aimed at oneself. Imagine two responses to being called overly analytical. 1. "Yeah, well, at least I'm not an idiot like you." Ego fighting ego. 2. Guilty as charged. "Last night I overanalyzed my breakfast choices for 30 minutes. Oatmeal is fascinating." Ego dissolving into levity. The first keeps the drama alive. The second, it turns the critique into a shared joke, leaving the critic with nowhere to land their next blow. Epictetus, despite his reputation for sternness, taught that humor was a form of perspective-taking. When someone tries to insult you, he advised, picture them handing you a gift. You're under no obligation to accept it. That's the core insight. Insults only have weight if you catch them. Let them clatter to the floor, and suddenly they're just noise. History's greatest Stoics wielded humor like a scalpel, dissecting pomposity without becoming what they mocked. Marcus Aurelius, even amid the stress of ruling an empire, journaled reminders like Alexander the Great and his mule driver both ended up in the same ground. Not gallows humor, but gravitas humor, the kind that laughs at life's absurdities while staying rooted in what matters. So next time drama rears its head, channel Cato. When the insult flies, catch it, examine it with exaggerated curiosity. Fascinating, tell me more about how my coffee choice offends you. Then watch as the tension deflates. Because here's the truth no one tells you. People don't poke holes in those who have already joyfully punctured their own pretenses. Laugh first, laugh hardest, and suddenly the world's barbs can't find their mark. That's the final shield, not armor, but the unarmored confidence of someone who knows life's too short for anything but a genuine chuckle. The Stoic sage is the North Star in a sky full of shooting stars, an ideal so steady, so unwavering, it seems almost mythical. Picture a figure like Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire in turmoil yet journaling about self-control by candlelight, or Epictetus, born into slavery yet teaching freedom of the mind with a limp from his master's brutality. These weren't flawless beings, but living proof that indifference to drama isn't about perfection, it's about direction. The sage doesn't magically avoid chaos, they walk through it untouched, like a flame unscathed by the wind. Now contrast that with today's drama addiction, the reality TV star orchestrating feuds for screen time, the influencer live streaming meltdowns for clicks. It's not just entertainment, it's a cultural dopamine loop where chaos equals value. The Stoic sage and the drama merchant represent two poles of human possibility. One thrives on external noise, the other cultivates an unshakable inner quiet. Here's the liberating truth. The sage isn't a finish line, they're a compass. When your colleague baits you into office politics, you don't need to channel Epictetus perfectly. Just ask, what would a sage protect in this moment? Maybe it's your focus, your dignity, or simply the right to not play the game. Small steps toward that ideal still put leagues between you and the fray. Modern neuroscience hints at why this works. Brain scans of seasoned meditators, our closest modern sages, show something revolutionary. Their amygdala, the panic button of the brain, stays calm under stress while their prefrontal cortex, the seat of reason, lights up like a control tower. Drama addicts, their scans mirror substance cravings flaring with each new hit of conflict. The sage isn't suppressing emotion, they've rewired attention itself. Try this today. After any stressful interaction, pause and sketch two versions of yourself in your mind. Version 1 absorbs the drama like a sponge, reacting, ruminating, fueling the fire. Version 2 observes it like a scientist studying weather patterns, interested but unaffected. That gap between the two, that's where the sage grows. The irony is delicious. Reality TV stars scream, "Look at me," to feel seen, while the Stoic sage whispers, "Look within," and becomes unforgettable. History remembers Marcus Aurelius not for his battles but for his notebook. It honors Epictetus not for his suffering but for his students. Their legacy wasn't built on noise, it was carved in the quiet spaces between reaction and response. That's the final Stoic rebellion, realizing the highest power isn't in controlling the drama around you, but in rendering it irrelevant. If you take nothing else from this deep dive into Stoic indifference, let these three principles become your armor against life's petty conflicts. First, the dichotomy of control, that simple but seismic shift where you stop asking, "How can I change this person?" and start asking, "How can I master my response?" It's the ultimate decluttering tool for your mental space. That colleague who thrives on negativity, their words belong in the "not my business" bin. The relative who judges your life choices, their opinion is whether notice it, but don't let it steer your ship. Second, Memento Mori, the great equalizer. Whenever gossip or grievances start to feel life or death, zoom out to your final moments. From that vantage point, 99% of what we call drama shrinks to invisible ink. That passive-aggressive text thread, it won't make your deathbed highlight reel. The office politics sucking your energy, future you would trade all those hours for one more sunrise with loved ones. Mortality isn't morbid, it's the lens that turns mountains back into molehills. Third, the premeditation of evils, not pessimism but inoculation. Imagine the worst-case scenarios before they happen. The snide remark at dinner, the unfair critique at work, and rehearse your calm. Like a fire drill for emotions, this strips surprises of their sting. When your boss actually does send that abrasive email, you're not blindsided. You're prepared, almost amused, like an actor who knows their lines cold. Now here's your challenge. Next time drama knocks, whether it's a social media pile-on, a family barb, or that friend who always needs an audience for their crises, pause. Literally picture Marcus Aurelius at your shoulder, that weary emperor who faced civil wars and betrayals yet wrote, "The obstacle becomes the way. Ask, what would he protect in this moment?" His time, his focus, his right not to be dragged into nonsense. Then act accordingly. And when you do, when you walk away from that pointless argument, when you laugh off that dig instead of retaliating, when you catch yourself ruminating and choose to redirect that energy, come back here. Share your Stoic win in the comments, because every time one of us chooses indifference over reaction, we're not just avoiding drama, we're proving that tranquility isn't passive. It's the quietest form of rebellion.